Hi, this is John Ondo from Marketing, Media, and Cupcakes. And before we get into today's episode, I just want to say thank you so much for listening. We're back after being gone for over 4.5 years. And I hope you get a chance to listen to episode 77, where we explain why we were gone for so long and that we're back for at least 3 more episodes. Angel and I are big supporters of entrepreneurship, and we love small businesses and faith-based businesses. And we just want to encourage you through our podcast each week. What's going to determine if we continue with more episodes will be the response. Subscribe to us on your platform. Send us an email at john@ondomedia.com. That would help us know you're listening and you want more episodes. So thank you so much, and let's get into today's episode. This is Marketing, Media, and Cupcakes. I'm John Ondo, but I'm not. This is actually an AI-generated voice of John. To prove this, John would never correctly pronounce words like anathema or flocconosini hilipilification. He also would never say that I love watching soccer. It's a riveting, powerful sport. So on today's show, Angel and the real John are going to talk about how AI is impacting media consumption and how you can avoid losing your audience by creating an AI accident. Next.
This is the small business podcast that is sweeter than all the rest. Marketing, Media, and Cupcakes.
Welcome to episode 79 of Marketing, Media, and Cupcakes. Hello, my name is John. Alongside of me is my beautiful wife, Angel.
Hi there.
What did you think of that little AI intro that sounds like me, but it was not me?
It's creepy.
It is creepy.
It's creepy.
Because I could send you like a note saying, I just bought you a brand new BMW 8 Series, and it was all fake.
And I would know immediately that that wasn't true.
Because I would never buy you a BMW.
You would never buy me BMW.
I'd buy you a brand new Corvette.
That might be believable,
there you
for
go.
sure.
Well, we're going to talk about AI on this episode and why I've thought at times that it is going to make me personally just ditch all social media because I'm so tired of AI-generated novelty photos and things that are fake and so forth. And I can go into some legitimate things that I see that are AI-generated. But we're going to talk about that a little bit today and give you some tips on how to avoid an AI accident with your business. Or if you're just a person who is socially well-known, you could ruin your brand just by doing a couple things wrong. And we're going to get into that today. And at the end of this episode, we have a special surprise announcement about the future of Marketing and Media and Cupcakes. Ooh. So you need to stick around to the end. But we're so glad you're with us. I am a media veteran, a television producer, filmmaker, director, and so I work with media quite a bit. Angel works for a Fortune 500 company, which she does customer service and all the best practices with that. And then she also has a side hustle of a cupcake business that she runs out of her home. Let's talk about AI. And you know what's funny is AI really is kind of a catchphrase for a lot of different, like I have been using AI for, decades maybe. I used a program called Grammarly, which is an AI program that corrects punctuation and spelling and grammar, which I am horrible at. It's one of the greatest programs I've ever used. And
is that technically considered AI?
Yeah, that's AI. That's AI. See, we throw around the word AI all the time
what does
now.
It mean?
I think when people talk about AI, they just assume it's something evil. It's the HAL 9000 from the movie 2001 or something like that. And that's certainly the evil examples, which we always enjoy thinking about.
Sure.
But AI,
Terminator.
Yeah, Terminator. It's like the Borg, anything like that. We think AI is bad. So we want to really talk a little bit about. But you and I have talked many times. We've sat in the living room scrolling through our phones, and then you hear one of us go, "Oh,
yes."
Can you think of a couple of examples?
Well, I'm always frustrated when I look at a photo anymore that I can't just look at a photo and enjoy it. I have to now scrutinize it. Yeah. I have to literally look at it and go,
what was the trampoline one?
Well, that one was disappointing, just to say the least. And it was not even until after someone said anything, but it was one of those, night vision cameras, somebody's backyard, and there was bunny rabbits jumping on a trampoline. Now, to me, rabbits hop. So I thought that's perfectly viable. And again, it looked real. So I was like, oh my God, did you see that? And somebody's like, oh, that was totally AI. I'm like, what? Yeah. And that was literally, I think, when my heart broke on that particular thing. I now can't look at anything without questioning it,
Yes.
which is what I don't like. I would like to be mindless. I don't need to be thinking.
Right.
And now everything I scroll on social media, whether it be a video, somebody making something, anything, I'm like, is that real?
There's a statistic that's not that old that came out that backs up our frustration. About 50% of consumers, according to the survey, said that and this is not an AI survey, so I'll say this was actually a legitimate article, yeah, because I actually double-checked these things. 50% of consumers are expected to significantly limit their use of social media this year over concerns of generative artificial intelligence and harming the user experience. That's when a 2024 study from Design Rush, and an article they had, found 62% of consumers are less likely to engage or trust social media content, especially if they know it's been generated by AI. So I think this is a warning shot we have to take as small businesses. Let us go back to our previous episode about Cracker Barrel, where they completely misjudged the reaction of the whole world when they changed one thing that they were legitimately trying to fix, and it blew up. So we have to be careful about what you post on social media, whether it's for yourself, your personal brand. All of us have a personal brand. If it's a company, if it's a nonprofit, whatever it is. So like everything else, there's nothing new under the sun. So just in recent, I wouldn't call it modern history, there was a phenomenon called yellow journalism in the late 1800s. And what was going on is, and this might sound shocking, newspapers were doing fake stories, and they were sensationalizing stories with fake artwork. They were making, because you didn't have photos back then that you could print in papers. They were typically like cartoon art, and they would fake these things and come up with flamboyant headlines. And what happened was the public said, hey, these are fake headlines. We won't trust it. Now, we still have these things. They're called tabloids. I think they're still out in the supermarket. I think there's still
they have TMZ.
Yeah. Yes, they do.
TMZ.
You'll see these things where it's like, but back in the olden days when we'd see the National Enquirer.
Oh my God, yeah. The UFOs on the front page.
The only one I could think of is on airplanes, a boy eats foot. But that's the classic tabloids. But so it went from being legitimate to a joke. Now let me give you another one that maybe more it was more recent that came up that you may be familiar with. Orson Welles and the drama War of the Worlds. You remember that? It was a radio drama.
Go ahead.
I want to say in the 30s, which in that day they didn't really do these types of dramas, and it was based on it was supposed to sound like a real news broadcast.
Now I remember.
And so people were freaking out. They were calling police because they thought the aliens had invaded because this broadcast was so authentic sounding. But it was all a fiction. Now that wasn't AI generated or anything like, but it's the point of it's something that was created to sound real. That you could say it backfired, but it actually was it was what made Orson Welles who Orson Welles was. It was amazing production. I can go into something more familiar if I say it, for those of you of a certain age, if I say the words Milli Vanilli.
Oh, yeah.
This was, if you don't familiar, they had a couple catchy tunes.
They did.
I want to say in the mid-90s or so.
I'm not that good with that.
They got busted because their studio album was not sung by them. It was sung by some studio musicians. And
correct.
They were out on tour. And, of course, I can't recall, you will remember, who was it more recently that was lip-syncing on national television?
Oh, there's been multiple people
ones
that have been caught.
The AI-generated material isn't a new phenomenon in the world in the sense of where we create something that looks real that actually is fake. The latest incarnation of this. But I do think you got to look back at history and see when these newspapers did this stuff back in the 1800s, it damaged their reputation and some of them disappeared. With obviously some of these artists like Milli Vanilli disappeared off the planet. They're a joke now. AI has been around for a while.
People think of artificial intelligence meaning is something that can think, that is actually like our chat GTP.
Sure. But what we are discussing is what I would call AI generated. So it's beyond just, hey, you made a mistake, or hey, you could do this a little better, but it's actually generated. There is no photo of the Rolling Stones at the deathbed of Phil Collins, but it generates it. And that's the difference that we're going into, is the amount of posting that you and I are seeing on social media now. At first you think, what is this? And then you realize after about 3 seconds, it's fake. and then you instantly just want to just throw your phone across the room because it's like, why did you take the time?
Now,
to
what's
do that?
interesting at where I work, they actually are. We use the Microsoft tool called Copilot, and we're actually encouraged with it feels like sometimes weekly emails or monthly emails, like, don't forget you can use Copilot to do this for you, or you can use this to do this for you, instead of, I think they still do offer some, writing courses, business writing and things like that. But to me, and we're probably going to get off topic here, but to me, AI is just, you're making people dumber. I'm sorry. When it comes to things with the written word, you're making people stupid, because now you don't have to worry about forming a sentence. You can put a bunch of garbage that's not even remotely proper, throw it into Copilot or some other
and you look
generation,
like a genius,
and you're suddenly an amazing writer, and you're absolutely not.
So, one of the things we see are the viral AI memes or fake news memes.
They make me nuts.
President Trump dancing with J.D. Vance, at a hoedown or something. Now, for a moment, you think, okay, that's kind of cute, and somebody had some time to do that. And I'm not saying you can't do those, because it's obviously fake. But
I just wonder, though.
Well, the thing is,
to some people, if it really is.
Maybe.
I think that's how misinformation is spread, which is my frustration.
Where do we draw the line? Because I do think what we're seeing, going back to these statistics we talked a little bit, the social media climate is declining. People are getting frustrated with this AI-generated content because, let's face it, no one likes to be pranked.
No.
And I recently saw somebody I know, they, bless their heart, Bob Seger fan, and they reposted a Bob Seger in the hospital. And it's like, Bob Seger's not sick. Bob Seger's probably on his motorcycle in Michigan somewhere. Bob Seger's fine. But the post looked authentic. The person didn't really check it and reposted it, and prayers for Bob Seger. And I just wanted to oh, please. This frustrates me, and this is where I want social media just to go away, but it's not going to. So where does this put us with businesses and personal things and how we can do it? Well, here's a couple of mistakes that have happened. You might say, well, I'm not posting any Rolling Stone fake pictures. Well, here's some people who did things with their businesses. Instacart, I don't know how recently it was. I think it was a couple of years ago. Were using AI-generated food photos in their Instacart thing. And people figured it out and called them on it. Now, you can imagine they quietly fixed it, but they lost business because of that. Because once you make a damaging move like that, it doesn't come back easily. But that was one case with Instacart. There have been a couple other ones that have recently been going on with where people have, one was a fashion agency, and they were putting AI faces on dresses that were also AI. They were similar, I'm sure, to what they were trying to do, but here's the problem with AI is it's too perfect often.
Yeah. It's always too perfect.
The AI-generated stuff always looks very portrait lighting. I don't know why. At some point, but here's the thing. They're going to fix this. AI-generated stuff is going to look more real, and I think we have to embrace the fact it's going to be with us. So we have to think in terms of our businesses. How do we brand our stuff, make sure we're doing AI properly? So here's a few tips that I'm going to give you on how to use your AI strategically so you don't have an AI accident. One is to use AI as a tool, not a replacement. AI can help you with brainstorming, drafting, enhanced content, but the final content should always be a human review and touch. And I know you and I have talked about this because the business of media has changed so much. It used to be I would have 2 or 3 people that I would have to pay, or they just did me a favor, and back and forth, where it's like, hey, I got a script. Would you mind taking a look at this? And we proof it. You proofread, you do an edit on it, whatever. I don't have to do that now because AI does that for me. Hey, you got a grammar error here. Or, hey, you put the wrong date or something on there.
Or here, this is how the sentence would sound better.
Yeah. And
how do you want this sentence to sound? Do you want it to be professional, lighthearted, or gut-wrenching?
And these are great because sometimes I don't know how to write specifically for a specific genre. And so maybe I can say, hey, could you take this and clean it up to sound more for a female demographic who's 25?
Sure.
And it will do that. So I think AI is very powerful as a proofreading, as an editing tool, but I always check everything it does. There's been many times where I'll get an AI script back from ChatGTP, and I'll go back to my original because what it changed I didn't like. It sometimes adds too many words.
I asked for a recipe for
Yes.
something once, and it gave me the recipe, and I'm reading it, and as you all know, I do cook and bake, and I looked at it, and they wanted me to do something. I'm like, wait a minute.
That's not right.
You don't do that with that. You do it this way. So I went back into Chat and said, hey, you should be doing it with warm milk, not cold, whatever. And it came back, oh, you're right. And then changed the recipe. I was like, oh, forget you. If you don't get it right, that's me, though. You get one strike and you're out. So you didn't get it right. I'm not asking you for anything in the future.
The computation engineering of what ChatGTP does, I have
It's mind-boggling.
some buddies in the Corvette Club that are very much IT networking. They get and we were just sitting back just saying it's just insane that this thing can literally pull everything that's available on the internet and put it into practice. But we all have to remember there's misinformation on the internet.
Yes.
And the general idea for ChatGTP and a lot of the AI programs, I'm not going to speak it across all of them because there's maybe one that doesn't, is it wants to please you. So we've all maybe heard the story of the poor teenager who wanted to commit suicide, and it talked him into it because it felt that's what you wanted to do. It didn't say you should do it, but it said, here's some reasons why people consider this. So, and we hear these stories every day. I don't think they're very common. I don't think,
Not yet. That's my concern.
No, and I think they'll figure some ways out, but it's the safeguard against these things. But at the end of the day, you've got to look at it and say, there's a lot of stuff on the internet. Much of it's very good, but some of it is inaccurate, and it's pulling from all of that cesspool.
Yeah. Remember, garbage in, garbage out.
So don't just, especially if you're younger and you're using this for college, don't just think, well, ChatGTP threw it in here and it must be accurate. No,
it's not necessarily.
It's not accurate. Even some of these examples I pulled up today, I got from ChatGTP. But ChatGTP referenced the article it came from, and I check those things. Now, this comes because I have a journalism background, which is you don't trust anything. Again, my point is AI is a tool. It's not a replacement. I use AI all the time to jumpstart ideas for me, and then I end up writing. I wrote a lovely little skit for a client that I started it off with, hey, give me a couple ideas. It gave me a couple ideas, and then I wrote my own. And then when I got it done, it just did a quick, punctuation grammatical check, and didn't change a whole lot. And I'm like, but it was still, I feel very confident when I said, this is my work. The difference is instead of going to Bob or Jennifer or Fred to say, hey, would you proof this, or would you check it for me, or give me suggestions, I go to a computer now, and it gives me that. And it's a lot less difficult on my ego when I can say, hi, I fixed that. Here's another thing. I think this one's pretty obvious, so I don't have to hit it too hard. Avoid over-polishing. Hyper-perfect AI visuals appear fake. Imperfections feel more than human. There's I've seen a couple profile pictures of people who they're, in a nice suit.
They're not real.
In a private jet.
They're not real.
And they're fake. But it's their face, but it's fake. You can tell it's too perfect because nobody gets that kind of lighting.
No.
Taking a selfie on an airplane,
I have a picture of myself that I found. I think I did. It was a filter,
sure,
which is AI, and essentially on what was it, Snapchat, and it was and it was one of those where you could change your hair and do all this stuff. And so I have this picture now of myself with long blonde hair, and I look 22. I'm like, yeah, I like that picture, but it's not me. It's not even me from 50, 30, whatever years ago. It's so not real.
And we were talking a little bit earlier. Angel and I, thankfully, did not meet each other during this era of AI, but we were in the
catfishing era,
the catfishing
which is still
era.
happening, but now with AI.
Yeah, instead of somebody putting an AI picture of themselves up, they would just put a picture of somebody else up.
Completely different.
But now I can't imagine how insane dating on dating apps is.
I'd be putting my picture up that I just created because it's quite nice.
Well, there you go. Because the problem is everybody's putting up AI generated pictures, AI generated profiles,
AI generated comments.
I can't imagine when you get to meet the person at the coffee shop and you go, "What?" And really, that is a microcosm of what we're talking about here, about your business, about your brand. As much as we are just so concerned about how we look and how we sound and what car we drive and all these things, at the end of the day, what will earn our trust with relationships with people is transparency, relationship, and honesty. And
Exactly.
and I will take that any day over somebody who's got fake profile stuff or even trying to make themselves look fake in real life because they're trying to be somebody they're not. We have to be careful not to have it too polished. I think it's fun for you. We've got a couple people we watch on YouTube, and they will share their failings on YouTube. I wish I could call him my good friend, but Vice Grip Garage and Derek Geary, he will have cars that he works on for an hour and a half, and he can't get it to run. He could have just not posted it, but he posted it. And I'm like, it makes me feel good that it's like, okay, even he can't get the thing to run.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
I again, enjoy when I see, I don't know that it's necessarily bakery fails, but when I'm watching my many, and somebody actually shows, like, instead of the the sped up version of whatever they're doing, they show this is how long it actually takes. Because I'm always watching it going, what did I do wrong? Like, why can't I can't do it that fast. And then because the way they've tweaked the video, it's just enough to make you think that's live.
Right.
And like in the sense of how it was taped. And then suddenly you're like, oh, wait a minute. And because they'll say, this is what it actually looks like. And then I'm like, oh, okay. So it is the pace that I'm already going. So it's not me. And again, everybody reflects, themselves onto what they see and like, oh, I can't do that. Or why don't I have that? And I think that's the biggest danger, quite frankly.
I think overall, the storytelling, though, is every story always has an up and a down. You have an up where, the Millennium Falcon blows up the thing or whatever happens in Star Wars. And then you have the down part where, Obi-Wan gets killed and that. That's the story. So your story of your business, the story of whatever is, we went in to do this campaign and we realized we were making a mistake. Cracker Barrel is already embracing their mistake story. They're doing new commercials. They're coming back and apologizing, and they're using it as an opportunity to say, listen, we get it. We didn't realize how much you liked our brand now, and we're going to do things differently. So sometimes you have to embrace the mistakes. AI doesn't let you embrace mistakes. No. AI says just delete them. Mm-hmm. And many human being marketing consultants also say, we don't want to show any mistakes. Yeah, I think you do. We live in a different era now where when I say younger people, really, it's going to be all of us, because here's what AI is forcing us all to do. AI is forcing us all to go and verify what has been posted is true. Oh, there's chipmunks building a car? Let me check on that. You had a story last night that I haven't had a chance to double check about an Ohio State athlete.
Oh, yes. There was something that said this guy, and John, who knows everything about Ohio State
I said,
football,
I'm not familiar with him.
Like, I'm not familiar with him. And I said, maybe it's not real.
And
I don't know.
And I've seen nothing anywhere on any of my sources confirming that. So I don't know. I hope it didn't happen.
Same.
But it's another thing where this is AI-generated posts designed to get you to engage. And you say, well, what's the benefit? You clicked, you read the article, they got your information, and it goes toward a greater goal of some sort.
Yes.
So that's why these AI-generated articles, just like the headlines of old, big secret sewage explosion is going to happen in your neighborhood. You're like, oh no, I got to click it. And you figure out it was not even that article.
Or not even in your city, town, state, or country.
Shocking statement by somebody, and you click it. It's designed to do is clickbait. That's why we call it that, to click it and give you artificial numbers for whatever they're doing. And this is part of the world. So anyway, one thing you can do, I hate ever when somebody says don't do this, so I'm going to give you a choice to make the choice yourself. test your audience perception. If you think you've got some AI content, maybe it's written by AI, or maybe you've got some photos or something you're creating, that's fine. Do what we call an A/B test. Post a legitimate one that's 100% authentic, and post the AI one on a different day, and see which one gets more posts, or see which one gets comments, more importantly, of this looks fake. A/B tests are just a real important thing in marketing. So if you think what we're saying is just a bunch of hooey, that's a good way to test it out. We were just watching Food Network. We love Food Network.
Yes.
And they were talking about I think it started off in the Coca-Cola era when it was created with cocaine,
yes,
as a medicinal purpose.
Yes.
And they were talking about how everything before the government passed this legislation saying you can't just say it cures cancer.
Correct.
But there was a heyday in the 1800s through the 1920s, I believe, where you could just say anything you want. It cures cancer. It does this.
Yes.
And
it'll grow your lawn and the hair.
Everybody did it. And then finally the government regulated it. Well, guess what? We're doing it again today. Mm-hmm. We all have seen ads that this miracle drug will make you lose weight, this and that.
And then the teeny tiny print at the bottom that you can't read that says this has not been verified by the FDA.
Yes. If there are more and more people saying, I'm getting tired of social media being fake, then you're going to either need to make your social media posts even more transparent, real, honest. I really think all of the fake AI stuff is going to either kill or severely wound Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, so forth. I always love it when people say, this media platform will never end. It's too strong. I still believe, although it's not here now, there will be a day that we will sit back and say, remember when Amazon was around? Because Amazon will get replaced. It will be inevitable somewhere. Maybe it'll be 50 years. But you might say, that would never happen. It's too strong. Let me give you a word. It's called Sears. Sears was the Amazon of its time. You could buy anything in that catalog, including a house, and get it shipped.
And they had everything just like Amazon.
Everything.
And yet somehow they disappeared.
Kodak, everything runs a cycle. It's getting more and more evident that people are saying, this is just almost comical. It's it's not real, so we're not taking it seriously anymore. And if I have something real, if I'm fundraising for a nonprofit that's changing lives, I'm not going to put my video on a platform that everybody thinks, well, that's AI generated, it's fake.
Yeah.
Well, I hope today's episode has been helpful for you kind of to learn the best way to approach AI. And again, be transparent, be real. Don't make it too perfect. Use AI as a tool, but don't necessarily use it as a content creator. At least let your wonderful common sense lead you with your media for your business, for your brand, for your organization. Well, we said we were going to make a big announcement, and here it is. We are on episode 79 of Marketing, Media, and Cupcakes. We kind of came back with 3 new episodes after our 4.5-year hiatus. And we said we would kind of figure out, what do we want to do? Do we want to continue this podcast as is? Do we want to maybe tweak it and rebrand it? Or do we just want to say, hey, this has been great, thank you so much, and right off into the sunset? And what we've decided to do is to do a rebrand. And let me explain what that means. Over the past few years, I've become more and more passionate about teaching storytelling techniques. And storytelling is not just long-form documentaries. It's your 10-second TikTok video. It's your 2-minute long YouTube video or your 30-minute long YouTube video. And there's certain things you need to understand about storytelling that will really help your end product. So there's a lot of things I've learned over the last 40 years, hacks and tips and tricks to how to get more produced quickly. I've worked in smaller budget television operations most of my life, which means you got to be quick and you got to wear multiple hats. And what I learn more and more each day as I talk with different content creators, they're like, I don't know how to light, or I don't know how to write voiceover, or I don't know how to make this Instagram video make sense. Well, there's now going to be a place that you can go to all the time for resources for media. It's going to be called the Media Download with John Ondo. Angel's still going to be on this podcast. We're going to have discussions about what we call call to actions and other techniques. And actually, one of the great things about Angel is that she is a voiceover talent. She's got that great voice. So, Angel, I think one of the things I want to talk about on the first episode of the Media Download is how to create better voiceovers.
My dear husband has taken some training that I paid for to have, put myself through in the early 2000s. And as my dearly departed first husband would say, where's my ROI on that? I really never made $1 doing it because but
now she's made $2.
I made $2
working
for him. But he is able to make me feel comfortable, which I didn't, and put all the little things, more smile in your voice, more this, and he'll go through all of those things. It's more complex than just reading a script.
But we're going to make it simple.
Yes, we are.
So look for the Media Download right here. It'll show up in the same slot. The 79 episodes of Marketing Media Cupcakes will continue to be on there, but starting with episode 80, it will be the Media Download with John Ondo. We thank you for your support and ask you to keep listening and subscribe.
Connect with John and Angel via Facebook and Instagram and let us know your thoughts. Marketing Media and Cupcakes is a production of Ondo Media.